Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Shabbat Shalom to everyone who's here, and Shabbat Shalom to those who are joining us online as well. It's spring. A lot of people are on spring break. It's a quiet week. It's going to be a little bit of an intimate evening as well, and so in a minute, not yet, but I'm letting you know so you can get psyched up for it. But I'm going to, in a minute, actually invite us all to come forward a little bit. But we'll start by singing a little bit, starting out our evening with setting the space. Shabbat is all about being able to rest, to get to the end of the week and take a breath and reflect. And this Shabbat, we kind of have a double portion, as it were, that it's not only Shabbat this week, but of course we are at the tail end of Pesach as well. For all of us who celebrated this holiday, well, I'll speak a little bit about it a little bit later. It has important themes for our community. But for now, I'm going to invite us to take a breath. I have a nigun that I've been singing for many, many years, and it's very meaningful to me. There are certain songs, I don't know if anybody has this experience where something comes on the radio and you feel like you're at a different time of your life again, and it brings you right back there. For me, this nigun does that. It brings about Shabbat, and I think for thousands of years we've looked at the way that music can bring us into a moment, because we are a people who have always looked not necessarily to making things holy, but moments holy. So my hope is by singing together, having our Shabbat, and resting a little bit this evening, we might have a holy moment together as well. If you know the words, then you can sing along, but I assure you that you'll learn the words really quickly, because a nigun is a song that doesn't have any words. Melody goes like this. Yai lai 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 yai lai la lai yai lai la lai 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 ya lai 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 yai lai la lai yai lai la lai 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 lai. That's excellent. Let's do that part again. Ya lai 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 yai lai la lai yai lai la lai 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 ya lai 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 yai lai la lai yai lai la lai 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 lai. There's another part goes like this. Yai lai ya lai 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 yai lai la lai ya lai 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 yai lai 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 ya lai 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 yai lai la lai yai lai la lai 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 ya lai 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 yai lai la lai yai lai la lai 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 lai. Sounds beautiful. I failed to mention earlier also that you may notice that there's only one clergy person here right now. So for this evening, I'm going to need your help singing and really getting out the music. So you sounded beautiful, and let's keep singing in that beautiful way. Say it again? Okay, I will. So for the beginning of our service, to help us continue with the environment, the space of Shabbat that we create again together, I'm going to invite everyone to, if you would please stand up and come forward. Let's see if we can fill in the first 3 rows. Let's fill those in. Let's be all together, near to each other. And as a part of that, if you get a little jumbled up in terms of where you're sitting, who you're sitting next to, come on forward. And I'm going to give us just a minute to introduce yourself to someone that you did not come with and that you have not said hello yet this Shabbat. So go ahead and say hello to someone, introduce yourself, say your name, maybe where you were for Pesach. Let's have this evening together in that way. All right. Yeah, let's be together this evening. So, the people who put the service together, they knew that we would need to feel like we were in Shabbat. And so they wanted to set certain reminders, and there are values woven all the way through our Siddur and all the way through our service. And I think that it's not without reason that perhaps the very first thing that we might sing that is a prayer in earnest is on page 19 of our prayer books. And the words are Lechu Neranena, reminding us that song is a powerful way for us to have a sacred moment, an important moment together. So I want to invite us to sing Lechu Neranena together. The words are on page 19 of our prayer books. Let's sing. Lechu Neranena, Yai lai 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 lai, La Adonai, Yai lai 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 lai, Nariya, Yai lai 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 lai, Litzur Yishenu, Yai lai 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 lai. Let us sing out to God, maker of all, pure and strong. Let all of creation from mountain to sea hear our song. Lechu Neranena, Yai lai 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 lai, La Adonai, Yai lai 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 lai, Nariya, Yai lai 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 lai, Litzur Yishenu, Yai lai 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 lai. And for all of God's wonders and all of God's light, we rejoice. So now let us listen with all of our hearts to hear God's voice. Lechu Neranena, Yai lai 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 lai, La Adonai, Yai lai 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 lai, Nariya, Yai lai 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 lai, Litzur Yishenu, Yai lai 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 lai, Yai lai 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 lai, Yai lai 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 lai. Well, I did promise some of the oldie but goodie melodies, but there's amazing and beautiful music being written every day. And there is a young man who actually recently was ordained as a rabbi about a year or two ago, named Josh Wachowski, who's been writing a lot of new music. He actually just came out with a new album, but I first heard this when I was at a music conference. Now, I've heard a lot of new melodies, a lot of different things, and they all kind of seem like they might be variations, one on the other, but there's every once in a while a melody that kind of lifts up, rises to the surface, and this one, I happened to be walking by the room, and I could not stop hearing this melody in my mind. And so I started asking around, what was that melody? And eventually found my way to emailing Rabbi Wachowski, or then, I guess, student Rabbi Wachowski, or actually pre-student Rabbi Wachowski. This was a few years ago. And he sent me this melody. And I think it's quite appropriate that it's set to Lecha Dodi as well. Many of the words that we have in our prayer book date back thousands of years, but Lecha Dodi actually dates back in Jewish tradition, short in hundreds of years. It can only be in Jewish tradition. It only dates back hundreds of years. A reminder that there are new things coming out, new ways to express what's meaningful to each and every one of us, even if the themes and the meaning of what's expressed are timeless. You'll find the words for Lecha Dodi on page 20. Not yet, but when we get to our final verse, I'll invite us to rise and to turn to the door that we entered our sanctuary through. Let's sing together. I have to remember the melody. Lecha Dodi likrat ka'ala penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat ka'ala penei Shabbat nekabela. Apologies, I need the words. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad Hishmianu el hamyuchad Adonai echad u'shemo echad L'shem u'tiferet v'litila Lecha Dodi likrat ka'ala penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat ka'ala penei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri, hitoreri Kiva orech uri kumi uri uri shir daberi kevod Adonai alaych nigla. Lecha Dodi likrat ka'ala penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat ka'ala penei Shabbat nekabela. I'd like to invite everyone to rise and to turn to the door through which we entered our sanctuary. Let's welcome Shabbat as if she were here on her wedding day to join us. Boi v'shalom ateret ba'ala Gam b'simcha u'v'tzochola Toch emunei am segula Boi kala Lecha Dodi likrat ka'ala penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat ka'ala penei Shabbat nekabela. Please be seated. Well, I'm often finding myself in places where I feel like I might be connecting different elements of our community, and so I think it's only fitting then that I mentioned that it was just earlier today that I shared with one of the members of our community her wedding. As a part of our community, we have new members joining in and bringing new people into their lives. And while she feels very much at home here in this space, the place where she had her bat mitzvah, where her parents had their wedding, is still available to rent, actually, as a space up in Montebello, and so we went up there today and celebrated their wedding. And I think that it's a real treat to be able to hopefully tie these different moments, these different things together, that as we celebrate and welcome Shabbat in as she were a bride on her wedding day, that we might hold with our hearts someone who actually celebrated her wedding day on this very same. I'm going to now invite us to begin our Shabbat in earnest as we started by warming up. But we're going to continue our service by lighting our Shabbat candles, and you'll note that there are an odd set of candles this evening. 2 candles for Shabbat and a blue candle as well. This blue candle is a call for peace for everyone who is set in the fires of war in the Middle East. It's a call for everyone who is set in harm's way to find their way to a place of safety. And of course, as a part of that, we call those who are part of the country of Israel, Israeli citizens who were taken on October 7th, we're calling for them to be sent home. We saw some brought home in recent days. We're calling for more, and we're also calling for peace for every single person, Israelis and Palestinians, in that too horrible, too pained by war area of our world. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. We continue with the words of Baruch Hu on page 28 of our prayer books. Page 28, I'd like to invite us to please rise in body or in spirit. Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai. Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai. Baruch Hu et Adonai ha'mevorah. Baruch Adonai hamevorach le'olam ba'ed. Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai, yai lai lai. We continue on page 30, calling in the change of seasons, calling in this very evening. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chochma poteach she'arim, u'vitfuna meshane itim, u'machalif et hazmanim, u'misader et hakochabim b'mishmeroteim b'rakia kirtzono, Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, u'ma'avir yom u'mevi layla, u'ma'avdil ben yom u'ben layla, Adonai tzevaot shemo, el chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv, haravim. Continue on page 32. Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Amcha ahavta. Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta, otanu limadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shochbeinu, uvkumeinu na'asiach bechukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, v'mitzvotecha le'olam va'en, ki hem chayenu, ve'orech yameinu, uvahem nege yomam v'layla, nege yomam v'layla. Ve'ahavancha al tasir, mimenu le'olamim, Baruch ata Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Please be seated. Ve'avta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha, ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha, b'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam, b'shivtecha b'veitecha, uvlechtecha v'derech, uvshochbecha uvkumecha, ukshartam leot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot bein einecha, uchtavtam al mizuzot beitecha, uvisharecha, leman tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai, v'item kedoshim le'Elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lehiot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem emet. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before we ever stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, and that there is simply no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. Page 40. Yai lai lai la lai la lai la lai la lai yai lai lai la lai la lai la ya lai la lai la lai la lai la lai la lai yai lai 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 yai lai 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 Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai Mi kamocha ne'edar b'kodesh Norati lodo seifele Norati lodo seifele Malechutecha ra'u v'necha bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam Ze Elianu ve'amru Ze Elianu ve'amru Adonai imloch le'olam v'ad Adonai imloch le'olam v'ad Yai lai lai la lai la lai la lai la lai Yai lai lai la lai la lai la lai Ya lai la lai la lai la lai la lai la lai Yai lai 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 yai lai 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 I think especially on Passover, we literally get a little bit of a taste of that moment of singing, of a miracle happening right in front of us, but we just get a little taste. Well, let's continue on page 42. Giving thanks for the safety, the shelter, the comfort that comes from being a part of a community that is centered around love, centered around support, centered around strength. Let's sing together. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom. V'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Amen. Shelter us beneath your wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light, and teach us daily wrong from right. Amen. 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 Well, this next prayer needs practice. And I don't mean the words, you can have the words or not, it's okay. But there's something that we do at Temple Israel whenever we have this particular conjunction. I think it can be safely called a conjunction. No? maybe yes, maybe not. The word et, not to be confused with the Hebrew word for pen, is a word that connects two different things together. And it's all the way through this next particular prayer that is, it's all about joy. It's about freilich. It's about celebrating. It's about having fun. And so we're going to have a little fun while we sing this prayer. When we get to et, I'm going to invite us all to lift up our arms, and we'll do a quick practice together. I'm going to do on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Et. Oh my gosh, I think we're ready. Here we go. Vishamru on page 44 of our prayer books. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam b'ritolam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael oti leolam, oti leolam, oti leolam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam b'ritolam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam b'ritolam. Uvayom hashvi Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam b'ritolam. Woo. All right. I love that prayer. All right. Well, now we have warmed up to the warm-up, and now we are at that core of our service. You know, when things are important in our tradition, because we often invite ourselves to stand. It's a symbol of not only respect, but it's a symbol of attention. It's a symbol of focusing on a particular moment. And the rabbis actually talk about the Amidah, and the invitation is to have such focus that we hope that we might not be distracted by anything in this moment. There's going to be a moment at the end of the beginning prayers of our Amidah where we're going to have a little bit of silent meditation, silent moment. And it's meant to be a personal moment. It's rare that we have times when we are together as a community, collective, but at the same time individual. And so as we continue with this next prayer, as we get into the core, after we've warmed up and then warmed up a little more, I invite us to take on words that have been a part of our tradition for thousands of years, which means millions and millions of people have shared these very same words, and may they at the same time be deeply personal and just right for each and every one of us. I'd like to invite us all to please rise. We'll continue on page 46 of our prayer books. Anana na 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 Adonai. Anana na 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 svatai tifta. Anana na 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 ufi agi teilatecha. Anana na 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 Adonai. Anana na 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 svatai tifta. Anana na 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 ufi agi Ufi agid teilatecha. Anananananana Adonai. Ananananana svatai tifta. Ananananana ufi agid. Ufi agid teilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanorah El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei HaKol, V'zocher Chasei Avot V'imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, L'man Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Mogein, Baruch Atah Adonai, Again Avraham, Ve'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol Atah, Rav Lehoshia, Morid HaTal, Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Bal Gevurot, Umido Melach, Melech Meimit Umechaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'neman Atah Lahachayot HaKol, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechaye HaKol. Atah Kadosh V'Shimcha Kadosh, U'Kedoshim B'chol Yom, Yehalelucha Selah. Baruch Atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Continue either using words on the pages to follow or other words we might find in our hearts. Continue silently through page 62. We'll join together again. say shalom. Shalom bimroma. Hu yase shalom. Oh, say shalom. Shalom bimroma. Hu yase shalom. Well, it actually all started with what might be analogous to a barbecue many, many, many years ago. I know that for many of us, Passover is marked by that moment when we invite family members over to our house, and you go to the same house often, time and time again. And there are even traditions that you might have over and over again. There's a great movie called simply Gefilte Fish that is, which by in and of itself is it's a great name for a movie. And it charts 3 generations of people making gefilte fish. In the first generation, they go to the water and they catch the fish. They put it in the bathtub, right? They have the fish, it's fresh until the moment when it's brought into the kitchen and painstakingly brought and made into gefilte fish. Second generation, they go to the market. They pick out the best fish. They cook this fish just to the right recipe that was passed down generations before. Third generation, painstakingly trying to open that jar. Some things change. And if you roll back far enough for the Passover holiday, even though at one time it was the most celebrated holiday out of all of the Jewish holidays, I think now that's Hanukkah, it was completely different 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, and even perhaps 3,000 years. We don't know exactly when it began, but it started really as a meal for people to sit together and cook that big barbecue. It ended up as some sort of sacrifice where you would cook the right kind of paschal sacrifice and you would eat it and sit together as a family. But I actually think that what is most embodied in the holiday actually comes to us from the 4s in that holiday. So there's 4 glasses of wine. There's 4 questions. And there's 4 children as well. Now, the 4 children are often talked about as there's the wise child and then the other ones, right? And everyone says, oh, well, I'm the wise child, right? But actually, I think that what we have embodied in the Passover Seder is a reminder that each and every person learns in a little bit of a different way. There's no understanding that it's wrong to be any of the different children, including the rebellious child, by the way, who the rabbis place actually just under the wise child because they're engaged. They're asking questions. But the truth of that Seder is that you have a lot of different kinds of people sitting around the table, and so the question is, how do you tell such different people one particular value? How do you take a value and you offer it to lots of different kinds of people who might have different needs when they're hearing that value? And I think that what we got a long time ago was actually an understanding, a reminder of how to instill that particular value. I mean, on the one hand, they said, eat, sit together, have a meal together. When you break matzah together, it brings people together, right? But the other is that there should be discussion as a part of it. There should be conversation as a part of it. So with the idea that you have 4 children, you also have 4 questions that you actually teach them to ask, so that they might engage in the questions of the Seder, so that they might start getting to the core of it. And I have to tell you, I'm always actually a little disappointed in the wise child. Because the wise child only asks, how do you do this stuff? Well, it's the other children that start to open up the conversation of why do we do these things? The rebellious child asks, why do we have a Passover Seder? Why are we sitting here and doing this? And I think that this rolls back all the way to thousands and thousands of years ago, to a community that wanted to make sure that something that they learned in the very worst and hardest of ways was not forgotten. We are a people who continue to remember. And so, they brought the kids together and they taught them and reminded the parents that there's different teachers or different types of students. They brought the students together and they said, ask questions. And they said, ultimately, this entire experience, it's because of another 4 at the Seder. One of my friends in college was always keen to remind me of this particular 4. College is an indicator of what I'm about to say. 4 glasses of wine, right? The reason why we have 4 glasses of wine is to remind ourselves that we are free, that we should treat ourselves like we have been freed from Egypt. Now, there's a beautiful connection to that of living each and every day of our lives and having this experience of feeling free. It's really important. It's important to remind ourselves, even when we're getting into that place of spring where things are starting to open up again, that we can remind ourselves that it's going to get brighter and we can have that experience of freedom. But I think there's another piece to this. Because very shortly after we place that wine on our lips, we take a piece of matzah and we put it in our mouth as well. And matzah tastes terrible. And it's supposed to taste terrible. It's literally called the bread of affliction. We take this matzah, and if it wasn't enough to tell our kids sitting in that space that they've not only have different ways of understanding this, not only should they engage in the conversation, but that they should engage in that question of freedom, that perhaps the best way to teach them that is to help them remember and know a little bit of what it might be like to not be free themselves. Now, why am I talking about this particular theme today? Because we know that we have a crisis around the world of people who are not free. And when you get to a place of thinking about it in a philosophical, perhaps theological realm, it's all good and well to sit there and say that we need to make people more free. And I am deeply proud of the Jewish invocation of making this world a better place by helping people be free in 1,000 different ways. And everybody does that in their own way. But we also know that there are people around the world who are not free because they themselves don't have a status of being a citizen in any country or any place. We say time and time again in our Torah, and time again, even in our services and throughout our literature, we were strangers in the land of Egypt. Now, this doesn't translate well. Now, no surprise, often we have things in our tradition that the words don't translate well. Sometimes we don't even know exactly what they might have meant originally. But stranger might be better translated into English as non-citizen. Remember that we were non-citizens living in the land of Egypt. We ourselves refugees. And so, every year, we stop and we sit down and we place right there in our mouth this terrible tasting cracker because it reminds us of the work that we have to do. 2,000 years ago, in our Talmud, it was written, the person who is set in prison cannot free themselves from prison. You must have someone else who frees you. I think this reminds each and every one of us that when we come from a place where we are able to help others, that we should, that we can, and that we will. So, I know that it's complicated. I also know that we have no alternative, just as we were slaves, just as we were strangers. So too does our heart still beat with those still looking for a home. So I'd like to share some words as well from another member of our Jewish community who wrote a number of years ago looking at the people who found themselves on the shores of the United States, also looking for a home, and was inspired to write. Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land, here at our sea-washed sunset gates shall stand a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name, Mother of Exiles. From her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air-bridged armor that twin cities frame. Keep, ancient lands, your storied pomp, cries she with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. The wretched refuse of yours teeming shore, send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed, to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Well, just as we know that we have a world that is in need of healing, we know that we have members of our community who are in need of healing as well. And so I invite us to call for a strength from one another. If you look in the pamphlet that was handed out this evening, you'll see the names of people who are in our community who are in need of strength. If you see a name there of someone that maybe you haven't seen in a little while, or even someone who's just an acquaintance but who you see who's in need, I invite you to send a text message. It really does make a difference. Let's be the source of strength that allows for this healing to take place. As we know that healing is not just a healing of the body, we have a healing of the spirit that allows us to come to full recovery. I'd like to invite us also to turn our thoughts and hearts to those members of our community who have come onto our list in more recent days. So together I invite us to think of Randy Fox and Mark Newman, Adrian Alpert Carden, Robin Burney, Edith Flitt, Norman Flitt, Cass Graff Radford, and Mike Grief. If you're thinking of someone in particular on this Shabbat, I'd like to invite you to share their name as my eyes meet yours. Find the words for Misha Berach on page 253 of our prayer books. Page 253. Let's sing together. Berach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Limotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mekor habracha le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. We continue now with the words of Aleinu on page 282. Page 282 of our prayer books. I'd like to invite us to please rise in body or in spirit. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoye haratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vigor aleinu kechol hamonam, vanachnu korim, Umishtachavim umadim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu Yehiye Adonai echad Ushemo echad. Please be seated. Our thoughts now turn to those members of our community who have died in recent days or in this season in years past. Together our hearts are with all of those who are observing Shloshim, the 30 days after the death of someone near to them. So as we remember Stephanie Marks, our hearts are with John and Cindy. As we remember Sergei Bluestein, our hearts are with Mark and Amber, Mila and Lev. As we remember Joe Sleish, our hearts are with Eve and Hannah and Margaret. And as we remember Janice Granick, our hearts are with Ken and with Jill. As we remember Norman Milks, our hearts are with Beverly. And as we remember Charles Michael Stoller, our hearts are with Stacy, Donnie, Kate, and Luca. This Shabbat, we mark the yard site, the anniversary as well, of Seidel Abravanel, Garth Begler, Mildred Blyer, Marion Kahn, Linda Calderon, Sally Chasin, Harry Darrenfield, Ruth Dorfman, Vivian Elbert, Greg Feldman, Molly Finkel, Beverly Fleischman, Mark Fox, Betty Gendel, Michael Gordon, Rita Gorlick, Jackie Jones, Anita Kipnis, Deborah Krushar, Lorraine Kroll, Charlotte Letman, Linda Levine, Ernest Levy, Albert Malamed, Julie Arms Meeks, Ruth Morris, Rebecca Nairn, Robert Schneider, Naomi Silverman, Rose Summer, James Swain, Robert Thompson, Joseph Warren, Michael Wendell, Andrea Winkler, and Ruben Yost. If you are thinking of someone in particular on this Shabbat, it's our custom to invite you to rise first. If you'd like to share their name, I'd like to invite you to do so as my eyes meet yours. I'd like to invite us now to join together as one community and to rise as one. Find the words for the Mourner's Kaddish on page 294. Page 294. Yitgadal, Yitgadash Shemei Rabbah, Be'alma Divrach Ute Be'almnich Malchute, B'chayechon V'yomechon, Uvchaye Dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'gala Vizman Kari V'imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mebarach Leolam Olmel Maya, Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar V'yitramam V'yitnaseh, V'yitadar V'yitaleh V'yitalal Shemei Dekudisha Barichu, Le'ela Min Kol Birchata V'shirata, Tushbachata V'nechamata, Damiran Be'alma V'imru Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabbah Min Shemaya, V'chayim Alenu V'al Kol Yisrael, V'imru Amen. Osei Shalom B'mramav, Hu Yaseh Shalom, Alenu V'al Kol Yisrael, V'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel, V'imru Amen. Zichronam Lebracha. May the memories of those near to us always be a source of blessing. I invite us together to say, Amen. Please be seated. This is a bit of a quiet time at Temple, as you know, spring break and Pesach, and we're busy, but with lots of different things. I'd like to invite up Ron Artstein, a member of our board of directors, to share about some of the goings on, some of the things that you might look ahead to as we look ahead to the coming week. And I'll get you a microphone. Here, I'm going to.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach, everybody. Yeah, this is an exciting time. We're almost at the end of Pesach, which is great, but we're still having some things going on here. So let's start with tomorrow morning. We have a start at bright and early at 8:45 with Torah study led by Rabbi Fox. It is the last, I believe it's the last Torah study you're going to lead for about 2 months, because Rabbi is going on leave. Well, you're still here for another week, but next week we're going to have, and I'll get to that. Yeah. If you want a Torah study led by Rabbi Fox, then this is your last chance until sometime in June. So please come tomorrow. And then after that, at 10:30 tomorrow morning, there's going to be a special Shabbat morning and Passover festival service, and we're also going to observe Yuz Kol. Yuz Kol is observed 4 times a year, one of them being the last day of Pesach. So, yeah, come tomorrow. And that will also be led by Rabbi Fox. Yeah. And is David going to be here, or probably? Oh, David will be here, okay, because he wasn't here last, the first Pesach thing, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I believe he'll be here. Okay. Well. Hopefully. Oh, and there's going to be a Torah reading by Morgan East. Yes. So we're going to be reading the Song of the Sea. Morgan has been working on it. So yeah, if you like Morgan, just come to support Morgan. So that's tomorrow. Now, I'm sorry, I'm just reading from this because I didn't get the regular announcement sheet. I don't really have a lot of things happening throughout the week. Do we know if anything, any events that are... Yeah, but next weekend there's going to be a lot. Yeah, next weekend we're going to have a very special guest. It's going to be we're going to have Adventure Rabbi Jamie Korngold. And I see, you look at the back of your sheets here, there are 5 things. There's going to be a Touch Shabbat and Shabbat service on Friday, and she's going to lead Torah study on Saturday, and a hike in Havdalah in the afternoon on Saturday, and also something saying God at the beach on Sunday morning. So definitely come here next week. Now, I'm going to be out of town this week anyway, so maybe that's why I don't know the things that are happening. Oh, actually, no, there is. It's not here. We have a special speaker on Tuesday, because I know I'm going to be missing that speaker. We have a special speaker on Tuesday at 5:30, I believe. And can somebody remind me who that is? Because I don't think it's in. Is it in here? Carolyn Siegel, right, thank you. Mzor Yom HaShoah, Holocaust Memorial Day. There is Carolyn Siegel, Executive Director of If You Heard What They Heard. This Tuesday, I'm sorry, I'm going to be in Pittsburgh. But for those of you who are not in Pittsburgh, please come here. It's going to be great. Saturday, I think these are the events that are happening. Saturday, by the way, the services on Saturday morning next week are going to be at the JCC, but that's also here in your pamphlet. Other things to remind people about are Sunday morning, okay, Mark wants to say, well, then we'll get to you in a moment, because there's a few other things that we need to talk about. One is, there's a Monday Midrash class, apparently. Is it in the pamphlet? Not. So, okay. So come to the Monday Midrash class. Musar on Wednesday morning. These all are probably in your email. There is, outside, there is a refugee help desk or something like that, right, Kate? Something like that. Immigrant, sorry. Well, many of the immigrants are refugees, right? And there's a help immigrants not get them deported and stuff like that. So visit that as you exit today. Also happening around now is the elections to the World Zionist Congress. Is that also something you want to talk about, Mark, or shall I talk about it? So elections, actually an email came out today. So if you're on our mailing list, then you should have received an email today on how to vote. The World Zionist Congress is a body that controls a lot of funds that get spent in Israel, and we want to make sure that the delegates who choose who spends these funds spend them in a way that are aligned with our values as a Reformed congregation. So we need to elect the right delegates, and therefore we want everybody here who is eligible to vote. So you should have received an email today in the afternoon, so check your email. And if you're not on our email list, then please get on our email list. And then there's also Run for Their Lives, and I think that's what Mark wanted to talk about, right? So, okay. And Chag Sameach, everybody. One more day of eating matzah, or 2 if you observe 8 days.
I just want the mic so that people out there could hear. So every Sunday at 10 o'clock, we do a walk for the hostages. But I want to say next weekend when we have the Scholar in Residence, we will still have the walk. We will meet at 10 o'clock, but we're going to walk to the pier so we can be there for the Scholar in Residence and take part in what she's going to do. I will park a car by the pier, so anyone who comes, that's full of chairs and blankets. So that way, if we walk to the pier, which is one way, we'll be comfortable when we participate with the Scholar in Residence. So I will make sure there's a car in that parking lot with chairs and blankets. So that way we can, that's next weekend. It's a week from Sunday, and that way we could participate in both events. And I'm going to try to maybe invite the speaker to walk with us. But if you don't do my walk, then you just meet here at the temple at 10:30 and walk over to the pier, and the program starts at 10:45. That's all I had to say. We're still doing our regular walk. We're just walking to the pier.
Shabbat Shalom, Ron, thank you. I'm sorry. Well, Ron, thank you, and Mark, thank you. I didn't want to forget to thank both of you. Thank you, but yeah, so I stand corrected on it. That's what a quiet week at Temple Israel looks like. It's a lot of different things. A couple notes about a couple different things. I just wanted to point out we have cards that if you want, the immigrant protection table can share more details about it, but it's about every single one of our rights, every person who is in the United States, and it can be a card that you can either know for yourself. It can have helpful information for that, or someone for whom this might be helpful. I'm sure that we'll have the cards at the table. Good thing to have in your wallet, have around as we think about ways to share what protections are there and help each and every person who is in the United States find a place of safety. I have to just mention a little bit about the Scholar in Residence for this coming week also. She started by just saying, I like being outside. And so she started doing a service up in Boulder, just kind of outside in a park. And this service started growing and growing and growing, and eventually led to an entire synagogue that has no building. They only meet in places out and about and outside. In fact, the first year that they did Pesach, they went out to the desert, and hundreds of people came out to the desert and spent the entire week out in the desert with them. She's coming to teach us, Jamie Korngold, the adventure rabbi, and so it's not without reason that many of the things that she's going to be doing are out and about at the nature center, at the beach, all these different things, ways of helping us connect and reconnect to that the sanctuary that is all around us. So at Temple Israel, we have a little bit of a tradition as well for our concluding prayer, and that is that we conclude our service together as one. And so I want to invite us to please rise. And if you happen to be sitting by yourself, I want to invite you, if you would like, to come join up, be next to another person. And I'm going to invite us all to take one arm and lift it up, place it on the shoulders of the person next to us. This is all the good stuff you learn at camp. And lift your other arm, place it on the shoulders of the person next to you on the other side. Let's sing together. Oh, say shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Wishing everyone a Chag Sameach and a very restful and sweet and good Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.